This week we see the last Rebirth issue for June, a Star Wars character gets his own solo series, and we get to talk about the election. Actually, no, we're not going to talk about the election, but Loki is running for president, so at least we got that going for us. What's up, everyone? I'm Stan, and welcome to another episode of Preview Picks. This is the show where I go over the books that I'm looking to pick up this week, as well as why. First, I want to start out talking about a variety of different number one issues coming out from a couple different publishers. Book number one is going to be Joyners number one, published by Boom Studios, written by R.J. Ryan, with art by David Marquez, who's also lending his talents to the Civil War II books that are, coming out from Marvel. So this book's set in future California, where a tech billionaire is looking to revolutionize America. However, his family life is a bit on the rocks. So it feels like this book's going to tell a little bit more personal tale than what we're used to in comic books, which is why I'm going to be hunting it down and, picking it up. Next, from DC, we're starting to move past the Rebirth titles and into true number ones for the series at hand. The first book I want to talk about is Batman number one, written by Tom King with art by David Finch. So this shows the introduction of two new heroes, Gotham and Gotham Girl, I guess? So I'm really excited about this because the way that Tom King interviews about this book, he's really excited about what he's writing, and he's getting a lot of praise for a lot of the other works that he's doing right now. So his short story just got nominated for an Eisner, and The Vision is widely regarded as one of the best books on shelves right now. So if you haven't had the opportunity to read The Vision and you want to get an idea of where Tom King writes from, go buy it right now. Another Bat book to look out for is The Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade. So this book is set before The Dark Knight Returns, and it's got a really all-star lineup of talent. You've got Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello writing, on the art from John Romita Jr. and Bill Sienkiewicz. So, just that lineup right there gets me all hot and bothered, but here comes the cold shower. The price tag on this book is $6.99. So they didn't really give any indication of how long the book's going to be. It's a one-shot story, so it doesn't look like it's going to be continuing. So, fingers are crossed that this one's going to be a really good title, and I'm going to be looking for it on the shelves. After we get past The Dark Knight Returns number one, we get into my surprise favorite from the first issue of Rebirth titles, Green Arrow number one. Otto Schmidt did a fantastic job with the art, really setting it apart from the other DC Rebirth titles, and giving you a sense of unique feel regarding that. Then on the other hand, Ben Percy did a great job playing up Oliver Queen, Diana Lance, and the whole interaction between those two, and I feel like the story is really going someplace. After reading that first Rebirth title, I was really excited for this issue coming out, and that hasn't changed at all. Then we move on to Green Lanterns number one, and I have to admit, I am not up on my Green Lantern lore. Everything after, say, like the Blackest Night storyline has really been spotty at best. So what I feel is that Sam Humphries has done a really good job introducing me to Simon Baz, who's a little bit of a dick, and he's very dismissive of Jessica Cruz, who is a relatively new Green Lantern, and ultimately is looking to play a strong female lead that suffers from something similar to agoraphobia. So I feel like they're really coming about this at two different directions. If you want traditional Green Lanterns type stuff, you're going to have the Hal Jordan book, and then this is going to be a great place for new people to get into Green Lanterns and new characters. And I really applaud Sam Humphries for kind of taking it in that direction. I'm going to be picking up the next few issues just to see how those things develop and probably get myself back on track with Green Lantern. Then, while I wasn't thrilled on Action Comics Rebirth, I'm really excited for where Superman Rebirth is going to go. Peter J. Tomasi won me over with his Final Days of Superman arc, which led to the demise of New 52 Superman and the reintroduction of the classic Superman from the Lois and Clark books into this universe. And what it looks like is they're going to be handling much more personal issues as we start a new story arc called The Son of Superman, which I couldn't be more excited about. The big thing about Superman, and the reason he is the way he is based on the teachings of his Smallville parents. So I want to see how Superman takes up that mantle and really looks to mentor and guide his super son. Last on the list, we have Titans Rebirth. So this is the last Rebirth title for the month of June, and it's a Dan Abnett book that's continuing on his Titans Hunt lineup. So I haven't read a Teen Titans book, I haven't read a Titans book, I don't really know what's going on, but I'll be damned if I'm going to miss this book after reading all the other Rebirth titles, simply because it looks like it's going to reintroduce a character that has long been forgotten by these Titans, and I want to see how that interaction goes. Even if you're on the fence about this one, I'd suggest picking it up, even if it's an, impulse buy. Yeah, that was really bad. But at least we're through the DC titles and now we're into Marvel. So Marvel's starting up the Star Wars Han Solo series with issue number 1. And overall, the Star Wars books have been selling like gangbusters, so I don't really see this being a particular issue as far as how well it's going to sell. Marjorie Liu and Mark Brooks are going to be taking care of this character. And the plot summary can really be summed up in 5 words. Rebellion, undercover, mission, racing, spaceships. I mean, who can argue with that? I'm going to be picking this one up. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to stick with it, and I feel like it's going to be a really good book for everybody. Next, this is where we get to talk about the election. Ultimately, we've got a situation where I hope that Marvel has the opportunity to discuss everything and anything that's wrong with our political system in this book, but I don't feel like they're going to do that with Loki. Overall, I feel like it's going to be fun to kind of watch Loki slither his way up into the White House while kicking a few babies. No, kissing a few babies. Either one might be appropriate, though. And then it's going to have to do some work to get over the novelty of the whole idea, but I'm really confident that they're going to be able to do that. Now that we're done talking about new titles, let's talk about recurring books that are coming back from hiatus or starting new story arcs. One of the prettiest space books out there is Descender, and ultimately I am very happy with this book. Jeff Lemire is doing a great job with the story, and Dustin's art is fantastic. The watercolors provide a softness to the edgy topic of space and robots, and ultimately becomes a very good contrast between the inherent violence that happens in this book. It's very stunning, and ultimately the fact that Jeff Lemire can write it, even though he's working on like 50 comic books right now, is absolutely insane. And I encourage people to go give it a read and see where it's going to go, because I'm excited about the introduction of Tim 22 as an antagonist in this story. After that, we're going to talk about Black Panther. And what can you really say about Black Panther? Other than maybe it's the best-selling book of 2016 so far, crossing over 250,000 issues with issue number 1. It's no surprise that this book, issue 2, is going to a second printing, because Ta-Nehisi Coates and Brian Stelfreeze are doing a fantastic job relaying an intellectual tale of the Wakandan king. So if you're not a member of the Black Panther Party yet, you better join up. Wait a minute. I don't think that came out right. Either way, you're going to want to pick up issue 1 and issue 2 to get into this story, which is a very cerebral tale, and it's going to be something that's a good primer for the 2018 movie, a real way to get into the character and what they're all about. Then we get into Amazing Spider-Man issue 14, which is coming hot off the heels of one of my favorite issues of the run so far. So we see Peter Parker and Tony Stark as Iron Man, who aren't really on the best of terms, teaming up to go after Miles Morales and take on Regent, who's kind of crossed a line that he probably shouldn't. I'm really interested to see where this story arc goes, as a lot of the previous stories haven't really been traditional Spider-Man fare. On the topic of Spider People, we're going to talk about Spider-Gwen. So Spider-Gwen number 9 comes out, and while a lot of people, they still look at Spider-Gwen as kind of a play for marketing and kind of a cash grab, I really feel like Jason Latour is doing a great job exploring what it means to be a Spider person through someone that's not Peter Parker. We've been reading about Peter Parker since the 60s, and we know his backstory in and out. We have a great idea of who this character is, and what we want to do is we want to approach that from a different perspective. So Gwen Stacy doesn't have those kind of motivations. She doesn't have that support structure. She doesn't have that specific detail. And instead of rehashing all that kind of stuff, basically copy and pasting Peter Parker's origin story onto Gwen Stacy, Jason Latour explores new motivations and reasons for her being the character she is. It's something I'd recommend people pick up, and as a longtime Spider-Man fan, I'm more than happy to dive down the rabbit hole and see where this kind of character exploration goes. Last but not least, we get to Civil War II Issue 2, which looks like it's going to pick up immediately from Civil War II Issue 1. I'm not going to spoil anything regarding the story, because I do that more than enough in my other video, but what I'm really excited about is where Brian Michael Bendis is going to take this, even though I might not need to know where it's going to go, simply because David Marquez is doing such a good job on the art. I feel like his drawings and the way that this book's being laid out is worth the price of admission alone. So regardless of whether the story goes south, it's something that I'm going to be picking up for the rest of the summer, as it's the big Marvel event and it's drawn so well. That's it, and thanks for watching, everybody. If you like what you see, smash that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe for more news regarding comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.